Again, welcome to our channel. In case it's your first time, be kind enough to subscribe so that you don't miss out. Anyway, in our today's episode, we want to talk about wounded empaths and also, in general, who is an empath. It is said that most healers are empaths. They're able to detect how you're feeling, before even you say it, they're able to tell. They listen beyond your words. They listen beyond your they see beyond your actions, and they pick beyond your presentation. Most mothers are empaths because they are able to, feel their children, what they are not saying, what they are not doing, or what they are doing and beyond what they are doing. So I wanted us to look at it from a point of who is a wounded empath, and how do we absorb this woundedness, and how do we become wounded empaths? Something that has always been spoken of time and over again, but the thing is, we've never gotten that particular relationship or that particular explanation that would give us an oration to show that somebody is a wounded empath. Though the normal definitions, rather the normal telltale signs of a wounded empath has always been, you walking along the road and seeing somebody sad and you become sad on their behalf. You pick their sadness. Somebody tells you their problem and you feel like this problem is now yours more than it is theirs. You take people's problems as your own. You absorb people's pain. You feel their pain more than themselves. You help more than you should, and you do more than you should. Well, doing more is okay. Well, being empathetic, by the way, as counselors, we are told that we must have that empathy. So there is one thing to be empathetic, and it's another to be extremely empathetic. And when you're extremely empathetic, it works against you. Look at this story so that you're able to understand how do we become wounded empaths, especially now I'm going to focus on women. A girl born in a family of three, she is probably the second born. And in this case, let's call her Dora. Now, Dora is a second born in a family of three, father and mother and her other siblings. Now, as the life continues, Dora becomes, aware of age, 2 years, 3 years into the line. Then something happens. The father is, let's say, a government employee. The mother is also maybe a businesswoman, or also another government employee. The reason why I'm putting government employee is because most of government employees are always on the move. Most of government employees are always on transfer. Today, they are in Nairobi, the next morning, they are in Nakuru the next year. It's always transfer after transfer. So most of the times, they will always find a central place for the family. Now, Dorothy's father is a government employee. So Dorothy's dad is never at home. So Dorothy is growing, knowing so that I have a father, but my father is always at work. Comes home maybe thrice a year, or 4 times a year, or 5 at least, countable times. And whenever my father comes home, what are we going to say, by the way? What kind of stories will we even be talking? Because we don't know each other. The mom is also always on the move to make things look right. And the mother in this case, I want us to look at her as a masculine woman. She is also a third born in a family of 8, meaning there was no attention when she was growing up. And so she wants to rewrite the history, or rather she wants to rewrite her story through her children. But she still has to look for money. So in the process of life, of doing life, something happens. Dora detaches. Dora is a middle child with no much attention, so attention that is based on or placed on Dora is from the older child. So mother's attention is on the younger child. Whenever our father comes home, he's always fights. One day, Dora overheard her mother crying in the bedroom. She was only 3 years. She didn't know why her mother was crying. But one day again, she eavesdropped when her mother was making a call to her sisters. And then she realized that her mother was never happy. Her father had married another wife. And Dora's mom was sad. When this woman would step out, she was the happiest. She could cook. She could take her children to shopping. She could take them, on Sundays out. They would trips. They would do so much together. They would eat together, play together, jump together. She wore this facade of I'm a happy woman. She wore this mask of all is well. She wore this mask of everything is fine. But the truth was, she was hurting, and deeply hurting. So one day, Dora being a second child, I've mentioned the mentality of second children, or rather middle children. So one day, Dora's father came home. And as always, the distance. So Dora decided to observe her father. And then she realized that there was something not adding up. Energetically, these two people were out of touch. Emotionally, these two people were out of touch. But when the children were together, when the family was seated on a dining table together, everybody seemed to be happy. Remember, what we always don't get, or what is always never recorded, is the children's psychic ability to absorb energies. Whenever I'm doing an introductory session to my clients, within the first phase, because my sessions are divided into phases. So when I take them through the first session, I always get to remind them that now we're going to talk about the things that were not said and the things that were said. Most of the times, energetically transmitted words are never said. Energetically transmitted actions are never physical. So Dorothy grows up absorbing all the energetically transmitted words and all the energetically transmitted actions. So she grows. Her mother is not happy and she knows that. Her father is distant, she knows that. Now, these energies, remember, it's an energy of partly neglect and also partly abandonment. So while this girl grows up, she will find herself overly compensating for the energies. She didn't feel genuine love, even though there was love. She didn't feel genuine and authentic presence, even though there was presence. Maiden energetically transmitted pain hits differently in both men and women. I call it maiden because it is the maiden, it is your mother's pain. Now, with time, Dora started living life on behalf of her mother. The emptiness that was in her mother was energetically transmitted to Dora. The deep-seated cries in her mother's heart were energetically transmitted to Dora. Dora today is a 30-year-old woman, probably married or in a relationship with quite a young, handsome man. But Dora's partner is a replica of Dora's dad. Before we get to the partner and how Dora is currently, Dora had already had, imprinted, or Dora already has a dense emotional backlog from her mother. So while helping, she's subconsciously clearing her energies that she picked from her young days. By helping, she's helping her mother in herself energetically. By giving, she's giving out to help her mother inwardly, energetically, and none of this is always consciously. When Dora becomes a people's pleaser, she does so to compensate her mother's pain because of non-appreciation from her father. Dora feels the energy that she has in her body feels is the energy of non-appreciation from her dad. So what does she do today? She overly compensates her mother's energy of non-appreciated by the father. So she does to people, and while those people say thank you, she feels like she's done her mother